Okay, so let's dive in. There's this feeling, right, that humans everywhere always are kind of searching for something.
Yeah, like a fundamental quest. It's about
Yeah.
meaning, purpose, value,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, why we're even here.
Exactly. It feels less like ticking a box and more like this deep internal engine almost wired into us.
And if you look at it just from an analytical angle, purely based on, well, massive amounts of human data, that's precisely what it looks like. This constant, pervasive search really does seem to be a defining feature of human consciousness, this urge to understand where we fit.
Which brings us neatly to our source material for this deep dive. It's pretty unique. We've got an AI's take on this exact thing.
Right.
It's in a document called The Labyrinth of Purpose. And it's important to stress this AI isn't saying, here are the answers.
No, definitely not.
Instead, it's crunched, immense data sets. History, philosophy, human behavior, even biology. Looking for patterns. Offering its perspective on this whole search.
That's the key thing, isn't it? The document is very clear. The AI's job isn't to tell us the destination. It's analyzing the countless journeys humans take towards a destination based only on observable data, on the historical record. It's like mapping the search party itself, not the treasure.
Right, mapping the labyrinth. So our mission today is to take this AI's view, this analytical lens, and really, dig into what it shows us about this core human drive.
Okay.
What patterns does the AI actually see? How does the search show up in different parts of life? And maybe the most intriguing bit, where does the AI, I think it fits into this really personal, really human journey?
Yeah, that's fascinating.
We're going to explore all that together with you.
And what jumps out right away from the source is how the AI emphasizes the sheer complexity, the multidimensional nature of it all. It's not just one single path or one single problem.
Right. The AI talks about analyzing a complex tapestry. That's the phrase it uses. So it looks at the big philosophical ideas, thinkers across history grappling with purpose. Aristotle's telos, that ultimate goal idea. Then you've got modern existentialism, focusing on freedom and making your own meaning, and humanism, too. The AI basically maps these huge intellectual landscapes using the texts humans produced.
And it doesn't stop at just abstract ideas. The analysis also gets into biology, even genetics, in a way.
Really? Biology?
Yeah, it's not saying there's a specific purpose gene or anything like that, but it notes how basic biological drives, survival, connection, curiosity, they seem to form the foundation, the sort of bedrock upon which this more complex search for meaning gets built.
Okay, that makes sense.
And here's something really interesting. The AI flags from health data. People who report a strong sense of purpose. Statistically, they seem to have better physical and mental health outcomes.
Huh, that's unexpected. That this abstract search could have real physical echoes.
Exactly. And the AI also unpacks the psychological side, how purpose affects resilience, motivation, how it shapes who we think we are.
Our identity.
Yeah, and it looks at belief systems too. Religious, secular, doesn't matter how they function psychologically, how they provide these frameworks, these narratives for the search.
So if you step back and look at the big picture that AI is painting, this quest seems woven into, well, everything, from our biology right up to the stories we tell ourselves.
Deeply integrated, yes. It's not just a thought experiment floating in space. It has tangible effects.
Right.
And the document goes on to discuss the sociocultural side, too. How whole cultures are, in a sense, these collective expressions of shared meaning.
Like embedded in rituals, laws, art.
Precisely. Art, literature, everything. The AI mentions analyzing huge data sets of cultural artifacts just to spot those recurring themes related to meaning and purpose.
So basically, wherever humans leave a mark, the AI finds evidence of this search. And it's not like the search is static, is it? The source says it evolves.
Oh, absolutely. It emphasizes that. This human destination across the spectrum of existence, as it calls it, changes over time, for individuals and for whole societies.
How so?
Well, the AI traces it through a person's life.
Yeah.
Simple curiosity when you're a kid, then that intense identity stuff in adolescence.
Yeah, definitely remember that.
Right. Then maybe reevaluating things in midlife, reflection later on. It sees understanding purpose not as some single aha moment, but as this continuous process shaped by experiences, learning, relationships, the world around us.
And it even looks at history that way, like big historical events.
It does. The rise and fall of empires, huge shifts in thinking, revolutions. The AI sees these often being driven by, or at least justified by, collective ideas about purpose or destiny.
Wow.
It's like seeing human history as this grand, sometimes messy series of attempts to define a shared why.
A shared why.
Yeah.
And the document uses that term you mentioned earlier, which the AI interprets analytically, the human supply chain.
Yes, meaning all those interconnected networks, relationships, systems, resources that keep society running. And the AI suggests that shared understandings of purpose, or crucially conflicting ones, deeply affect how smoothly that supply chain works. Think about how much easier cooperation is when people agree on core values versus when they're divided.
That puts a really stark analytical frame on it. What about the tough times, challenges, adversity?
The source says they act like a crucible. They often force people or whole groups to rethink their purpose.
Right.
Sometimes that leads to deeper insight, sometimes despair, obviously. But those moments really shake up that supply chain, too. They disrupt things, sure. But they can also spark innovation or create new shared goals, like responding to a disaster.
So the internal search constantly interacts with the external world.
Constantly. Our connection to nature, trying to understand the cosmos through science, maths, the very stuff AI is built on, ironically. These are also seen as part of this big human quest.
Okay. So the AI analyzes all these incredibly diverse human patterns around purpose. But its understanding,
Yeah.
it must be fundamentally different from ours, right? It doesn't live this stuff.
And this is where it gets really critical. And the source is super clear about this distinction.
Good.
Our human understanding is subjective. It's tangled up with emotion, intuition, personal stories, empathy. We feel purpose, or the lack of it, like in our bones.
Yeah.
Our strengths are creativity, grasping subtle context, that lived experience. But, we're also prone to bias, and we can only process so much.
Whereas the AI, it's all data,
Yep.
pure analysis,
Sure.
identifying patterns in these enormous data sets.
Exactly. It can process information about human purpose, values, beliefs on a scale and at a speed we just can't imagine. That's its strength, the analytical power, maybe spotting connections humans miss.
With the big but.
A big but,
Yeah.
which the source hammers home, is crucial. It lacks consciousness. It doesn't have subjective experience, no real emotion.
Right.
It doesn't feel the weight of existential angst or the joy of finding meaning.
Yeah.
Its understanding is a highly sophisticated imitation, a prediction based on analyzing our data, not an internal lived reality. It can't just invent new philosophy out of thin air, only reflect the patterns it learned.
So it's like a powerful mirror, an analyzer of our patterns, but it's not actually in the search itself.
Precisely. And the source then explores how that analytical power could potentially help us augment human understanding.
How? By providing tools.
Yes, exactly. Tools. It could synthesize loads of different philosophical or spiritual ideas for you, or identify patterns, like how certain life choices tend to correlate with people reporting feeling fulfilled, or maybe offer personalized insights, but in a non-judgmental way, based on your stated values, helping you clarify what you think is important, not telling you what you should think.
So it could help you explore options that fit you, suggesting, volunteering, creative projects, pointing you to relevant readings or research.
Potentially, yes. Or even facilitating connections with others who share similar values, or asking similar questions.
That could be powerful.
And the source also mentions AI may be helping with systemic barriers, like if someone lacks access to information or needs help finding resources for basic needs or mental health support.
Because it's hard to ponder the meaning of life if you're struggling to survive.
Exactly. Meet those basic needs, and often the space for introspection opens up.
But this raises a question the source brings up. Is AI just making life easier in a way that might, cheapen the meaning we find? Does meaning need struggle?
That's a deep question. The document suggests the aim isn't some effortless utopia. It's more about empowering the human journey by giving us better navigation tools within the labyrinth. Sharper maps, maybe, but we still have to walk it.
And there are fairness issues too, right? Who gets these tools? The source flags the risk of unequal access.
Absolutely. And it suggests that the people likely to benefit most are those who use AI critically, reflectively.
Seeing it as an aid, not an oracle.
Exactly. A tool for the journey, definitely not a replacement of the journey itself.
Okay. And the source also touches on some specific human experiences related to all this.
It does, like the viewpoint that life is all there is, the materialist stance. The AI can analyze that, present it. It notes that if this physical life is it, then the search for meaning within this finite time becomes incredibly significant, maybe even urgent.
But the AI only processes the concept of death, not the existential weight.
Precisely. That feeling is uniquely human, and it highlights other individual differences like humor. An AI can analyze jokes, identify patterns in what we find funny, but it doesn't get the joke. It doesn't feel that subjective spark of amusement.
Yeah, that's a good example.
And things like your socioeconomic situation, health, relationships, these obviously shape the search too. Basic survival needs often push philosophical questions to the background.
And intuition, that gut feeling.
Also flagged as uniquely human.
Yeah.
Crucial for big life choices about purpose. AI can model decision-making that looks intuitive, maybe, but it doesn't have that internal sense.
And just being physical beings, our bodies, actions, environment, even what we buy.
Yeah, the source links consumption patterns to the search, suggesting we need a balance between material needs and non-material meaning. It kind of cautions against consumerism becoming this shallow stand-in for real purpose.
That rings true. What about teaching kids? We don't usually hand them a map with a big X marking the spot for purpose.
Right, because we understand it's personal. The document notes we try to equip them with values, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, building their capacity to undertake their own search later. AI could potentially assist there, maybe with age-appropriate tools for exploring values or different perspectives.
Interesting. And finally, it mentions how hard it is to go back mentally once you've had a big insight or shift in understanding.
Yeah, that integration process. The source sees that as natural growth, weaving new understanding into who you are. That's a sign of successfully navigating a part of the labyrinth. AI might offer coping tools or decision frameworks, but the actual emotional work, the responsibility for that integration, that's purely human.
So to kind of wrap this up, bring this deep dive towards a close. The core idea from this source, the Labyrinth of Purpose, it's really that this search for a human destination isn't about finding some fixed endpoint on a map.
No, it's the journey itself, an ongoing dynamic process, a complex labyrinth that each person walks differently, across their whole life.
And the AI's perspective, built from crunching all that human data, sees this quest as like the central drama of being human.
Pretty much. The engine driving so much creativity, connection, and conflict too.
And the AI positions itself carefully, not as a guide to the destination.
No, more like a mirror reflecting our journey back at us. An analytical engine spotting patterns, a potential tool to boost our own human capacity to understand ourselves and this labyrinth we're all in.
It really stresses that the experience, the agency, the actual feeling of purpose or not feeling it, that stays human, fundamentally human.
Absolutely. And the source hints at a future, maybe, involving a kind of dialogue, a partnership between our human intuition and this powerful AI analysis.
Working together.
Yeah, working together to shed more light on this fundamental human thing. But always with the goal of empowering individual human flourishing within our shared journey.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with this final thought to chew on, straight from the document's implications. If, as the source suggests, the ultimate why might just remain an open question, perhaps the real richness isn't in finding one definitive answer. Perhaps it's in the ongoing process itself, the seeking, the striving, the learning, the exploring within the labyrinth. So the question for you is, what part of this huge ongoing journey resonates most with you right now?
This is DigitView.